Hi guys, it's Sherry. Today we are going to be creating starfish earrings, and they are going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited about it. The first thing you need is your white Primo clay, your stamp from Create Along. Look how gorgeous that stamp is. This is from their monthly box, but you can purchase this all separately if you're interested. I'll put everything in the description box if you are. And then the starfish cutters. I love these. I'm super excited about trying these out. So the first thing that you are going to do to start this project is take your clay and roll it out to put through your pasta machine. If you do not have a pasta machine, I will show you the thickness that it will go on. Mine is going to go on the thickest setting. So let me do that quickly. Okay, so I have that rolled out. Now I just need to make sure I could get two of my cutters on. I can. So I want to take my rubber stamp. I'm going to press it down just to make sure it doesn't move on me initially. And then I'm going to roll this out. Oh, look how beautiful. I love this stamp. This stamp is so pretty. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Next, I am going to put these right on my tile right away. This way, when I cut them out, they're already on my tile and I don't have to move them again and they won't get distorted. So cut out your starfish. Make sure I'm getting some really cool designs in here. These cutters are so nice. Look how beautiful that edge is. So nice. I love them. Okay. So you saw how simple that was. Now we are going to take our alcohol ink. And I chose the orange gold, rose gold, and the purplish red, and a deep red. And these are all my metallic inks. So when you're using metallic ink, make sure you shake them really well. Like seriously, really well. Because I try to show this in all my videos. All that powder stays at the bottom. And if you don't shake it, it just doesn't work correctly. So make sure you are shaking them really good. And I'm going to start with my deep red. See, this one is like really stuck at the bottom. So that's going to take a little bit of shaking. And I'm going to shake them now, but then before I use them, I'm going to shake them again because I want to make sure all that powder is mixed up really, really good. All right. So get a wipey, just in case you need it. And if you don't have a wipey, you could use any kind of like material that'll soak up any extra alcohol ink. Okay, now I can see that it's all blended well. So now I'm just going to do a couple dots. And you can see I'm not putting a lot on the legs here, just a little bit. Then I'm just going to take my blower and I'm just going to blow this, okay? We're going to do our rose gold next. This one's not even open yet. And I may use these again, but I put the lids on because sometimes, I have done this in the past, I will pick them up thinking the lid is on, and then I shake them and they're all over the place, and it just makes such a mess. So I always put the lid right back on. And this is the orange gold. Oops. I love this orange gold. And if, see, like the orange is covering that red a little bit too much, so I'm just gonna blow it right out of the way. Because I want that red to still show. And now my purplish red. This is why we need the wipey, because this does spread when you're blowing this. And this is great because if you don't want to blow through a straw, which I have no interest in, or you don't want to be blowing your head off in a video, this really does come in handy. Because I just personally don't want to be sitting there and have you guys watch me blow while I'm doing a video. It's just not ideal for me. So now I'm just going to take my colors and I'm going to kind of go over, start filling them up. And these colors, these two colors, the purplish red and the deep red, they are similar. But there is a slight difference. So adding them is a nice little contrast to them. And now I'm going to go back to my orange because now my orange is kind of covered up. And I'm going to be a little bit more careful this time, but this one comes out super fast. I'm going to pick a leg that I really want it to mainly be on. And then just blow it out of the way. And at this point, you are just going to add until you are happy with what you have. So just add a little here, a little there at this point, just till you are happy with what you see. And sometimes I blow straight down, sometimes I go to the sides. So really just kind of play around with that. And I really like the way that this looks now. So I'll bring it up closer to you. So you can see a little bit of the white there, and then the orange and the coppers and different colors. But I want to bring over my metallic rub-on. And I like to add a little bit of silver on top. And I know it kind of sounds a little funny when you say silver when I'm adding all these like golds and red, but I'm telling you, when you do the silver, it just, I don't know, it really kind of makes it pop a little bit more. So my ink is still a little wet. So I am just going to take my metallic rub on and just kind of very lightly rub over it, but I'm not going to do it hard because I still want some of those colors to be on my the pieces that are up a little bit higher. I can't think right now what it's called. But you see how that like really just, I hope you could really see how that really is making it pop. And then you get all those beautiful colors underneath. And if you don't have the metallic rub-ons, you can easily use paint and just use use your finger, you know. If you just dab a little bit of paint, I know I have some other videos that show that, have a little bit of paint, put your finger in there, and then just dab it over your piece, and it works really, really well. So I just want to make sure that the pieces I have covered in the silver are going to be nice and bright. All right, so now we will place this in our oven at 275 because I use all primo clay, and I'm going to bake it for a ½ hour because that's the recommended temperature and time, and then we'll come back and we will finish these up completely. All right guys, my pieces are out of the oven and I love them. I think they look fantastic so far. So our next step is to take them off. And then I'm just gonna file my edges. And I'm just gonna use a nail file for this because there's not much to file. I'm just basically taking off all the old alcohol ink. Look how beautiful. They're very flexible. I love this. These are gonna be a really fun pair of earrings. Okay, so at this point, I have to decide what I want to do with the back. And I am actually just going to paint right over this. And I really love like the red pink look on these pieces. So I am going to use my pearlescent pink. And no, I am not going to sand. I am going to do a couple coats of this, and then I'll seal everything. I like to really just make my pieces as simple as possible. Okay, so we're gonna let that dry. And I will do a couple more coats of that. And while that dries, I'm gonna take my clay again and I'm gonna roll this out to my thickest setting. Okay, so once you have it rolled out, don't worry about if your clay is dirty or whatever. Get a piece of it. And we're just gonna kind of make a little ball here. Just kind of like build it up. Use this as like a little template. And what I'm doing is I want to make sure that my star is kind of lifted up a bit. And then I'm going to take my clay, go around it without too much of an air pockets. My clay is very soft right now. And let me get my other one. Now I'm going to roll this out to my second thinnest setting. Okay, so now I'm going to lay that straight down. This is kind of like a trial thing right here that I'm doing with you all. And then I'm going to cut that. Okay, so now we have like our starfish nice and lifted. Now I want to take my tool here and I'm going to go and start making some lines. And now I'm going to take this little tool here and I'm going to kind of just make a little circle right in the middle. So can you see how we did the lines and then the little circles? And I'm just going to kind of use my blending tool to smooth this stuff out. Next, we're going to get our regular alcohol ink. We are not going to do the mica powders this time. And I got peacock blue here. And yes, I am just going to drop it right on there. And then take your blower here and just kind of blow it. I'm just going to kind of dab it in certain areas here and then blow. And I'm going to take my, oops, my baby wipe, and this is a dry one, so just soak up all that extra ink. I got ink all over me. I'm gonna get some more of this blue. I'm gonna take my brush here and I'm just gonna start kind of brushing my edges. Make sure I get all my edges covered. And I'm going to take my fuchsia okay. Now we're going to get a wet baby wipe. And now I'm going to start patting it again. And get my white. All right, so get your white alcohol ink. Make sure you shake it well because for some reason the white really needs to be shook very well for it to work properly. You can go right in the middle and see how that spreads like that. So cool. And we really want it to kind of go right into all those little lines that we just did. And then just dab little by little. And now, very carefully, I want this just to go right into those lines, and I'm not going to wipe it. So I'm not squeezing my bottle. I am just going right, like touching it. And then one blue dot. There we go. See how that spreads? And like you could basically keep changing the color until you get exactly what you want. So here's my purple. Boom. Let's put a little bit of white on that. And basically just honestly keep playing with your colors until you get exactly the color you're kind of searching for. Where's my fuchsia? What did I do with it? Did I put it away? No. What did I, over here. Let's see what did I do with it. This has a puddle, so I want to kind of, if you're starting to get puddles, just dab it. And then we're going to do one side with the fuchsia. There's a puddle. And then I'm going to put one drop right over that fuchsia. I really kind of want that white just to stay in there. Right at the top. I just want it to kind of crinkle down just a tiny bit. And at this time, or at this point, I'm just kind of picking and choosing the exact areas that I want this white to go. And lastly, I am going to add one mica powder. I know I said I wasn't going to do, or not mica powder, mica alcohol ink, or I'm sorry, I'm going to add, lastly, I'm going to add the metallic deep red. I know I wasn't going to do the metallic, but I really think the metallic is going to make, like, really just going to stand out. Get all the mica powder sticking there. So I just want to do one right at the top. One drop. There we go. Look how cool that looks. So let's do one more. And I just want to kind of see if I could get it to spread down the veins, or the, what do you call it? All the little lines that I just did. I'm going to do this the smart way this time. I'm going to use my brush and just kind of put it in the areas that I want it to go in. So I'm going to go right into those lines and hope that I have enough on there that it will just follow the line right through. And that seems to be working. Because the white, unfortunately, as much as I love it, and it really helped change the colors, it's not staying white in these lines. And I really want these lines to show up. So that's what we have so far. So once you're happy with your piece, put this in the oven. We're going to do this one at 275 also, half hour. And while this is in the oven, we are going to start working on this. I'm going to do one more coat on the back of these. Okay, so my paint dried. And now we are just going to put Sculpey glaze on these. Normally I like to resin my pieces, but this particular one, I really just want to do the Sculpey glaze. I do want to take a brush and just kind of get some of that extra mica powder off, because those metallic inks really do have a lot, and because I continually like put more and more and more on, it kind of piles up, and I don't need all of that, because when I put the glaze on, it's going to smear and it's not going to look as pretty. So I'm just going to take some of it off, and now by brushing it off, you can see all that beautiful mark. Like, you could really see the design and the colors blended really, really well. Where before, it was kind of piled up in there, and it was hiding some of the detail. So I'm very happy with that. Now I just take my gloss glaze and I will just put it right on there. And then I'll just get a paintbrush and I'm going to brush it over, but very carefully. You see how thick I have it on? I'll put it on thick because this way I can kind of take the top layer and then move it around without spreading too much of the under layer. And then I'm just going to let it sit there and kind of soak in and dry that way. And yeah, it'll take longer, but I really just don't want to spread all the mica powder from the metallic inks and change my color, because you can see how like it's so hard to explain without like really doing it yourself. But as you're putting the paintbrush across, you move all that metallic ink that dried up, which is the mica powder, and you chance I'm sorry, I'm kind of paying attention here. You chance really just moving all the mica powder around. So here, I can show you. You see how that mica powder is starting to pull up into my gloss glaze? So that's why we don't want to move it around too much. We want to put it on quickly and then just let it sit and fall right back down into place. I hope that makes sense. And if your paintbrush starts to kind of get a little bit muddy, just wipe it. And other people may do it differently, but truthfully, this is how I do it, and I've done this a few times and I have not had any issues. Putting it on thick like this, it takes a little bit longer to dry, obviously, but my mica powders from the metallic inks just kind of stay in place. I don't worry about them not distorting, but changing colors underneath afterwards. And them spreading and kind of just making a big mucky mess. You can see this one's starting to dry, and if you're concerned about it, you could really just take like your dry one and then take up some of it and then just kind of go over it. But like I said, I don't like to smear it too much, just because I don't want to lose all those beautiful colors from the mica powder. But if I did not brush off all that extra mica powder, that would have just spread and made such a mess and just ruined the whole piece, to be honest. And I don't know if it's because I kind of let it sit for too long, because I actually started this particular project last night, and then I let it go sit in the oven overnight, and then I went to work, and now I'm kind of working on it. So, but now I'm going to let that completely 100% dry. This gloss glaze will protect all that mica powder from the metallic ink, and you don't have to worry about losing any more of that. So we're going to let that dry. We're going to let our other piece bake, and then we'll come back and finish everything up. All right, guys, so these are completely dry. Nothing is going to come off in my hands. Beautiful. Love them. This guy is out of the oven. We got to clean him up. I want to wait till he's completely 100% cooled off. And while that is doing that, we will put our jump rings in. That'll be for that. And that's how they will go. And you could do it this way, long ways. You could do it That way, I like it this way, so I'm actually going to do it this way. I think it's fun looking. And I'm going to take my drill, go right in the middle at the top here, and then I'm just going to drill a hole straight down. Make sure the back is cleared. Do the same thing on this side. It's clear on that. And then I'm going to get my pliers, take my jump ring, open it, put the jump ring on. I have my fish hook, and I'm going to take the very bottom loop here, and then I am going to turn it. And by doing that, I don't have to add an extra jump ring. Be very careful doing that. If you do it too fast, it will snap. But if you do it slowly, it will be perfectly okay, as long as you don't have ones that are like overly cheap. And then there is our earring. Always make sure the part that goes in your ear is facing the back of your earring, so it goes into your ear properly. Or hangs on your ear properly, I should say, I'm sorry. And there is one set of our earrings that we will be completing today. I mean, look how beautiful those are. So fun. I love the design from this stamp. Just beautiful. And the colors came out real nice from that metallic ink. And then I just love having something different on the back. So I thought the pink would look fantastic. And I really like it together. So I hope you guys enjoyed those as well. Now, to finish up our last piece, I'm just going to get all that old mica powder off. And I'm just going to take my file, do a quick file to get the metallic and the regular ink off, the alcohol ink. So when it heats up into, or when it heats up in the oven, it just becomes like a little crust on the side. So I just file that right off. I am going to paint the back of these, but first, edge my sides. Okay, so I am going to use my paint marker on the back of this, and then I will edge it. And this is my new one. I love these markers. These chrome markers are so fantastic. So I'm just going to take something, and I got to start this. So when you have a new one, you just got to keep pumping it up and down so all that paint comes down to the bottom. See how it's starting to flow to the bottom? Now we're good. So I will just take this and I'm going to go right over everything. Look how beautiful. That is going to shine like you have no idea. It's going to look like pure metal. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to go right over the little bit of the edge here. And that'll kind of make it look like it's a piece of metal edged off. I'm going to let that completely dry before I do those last two pieces where my hands are, or my fingers, because this is wet and I'm going to smear it if I touch it right now. So I will let that dry and then I'll finish off those two little sections. Ooh, I almost did it upside down. So carefully put that down. And I actually want to edge off these. I forgot about that. So since we have a gold one, we're going to do gold. And I am just going to go right around. I just love adding my gold and silver to my edge. It just finishes all my pieces off so nicely. It just gives it a nice clean look. And what I love to do is get right up to the very edge so it looks like there's gold surrounding the tip. You see how I do that? So you just take it and go right over the edge, and then it looks like it's encased in like a gold, what do you call that? A gold shell, I guess. I can't even think. It looks like it's encased in gold. We could do the back side as well. Just follow the edge. You can see I'm just barely touching the edge there. I mean, so beautiful. That's really just, it just finishes off the piece perfectly. And I just really believe these little details make such a huge difference. I mean, look at, I'm going to show you. Look at the difference just by doing that edge. I mean, it just makes it look so much prettier by edging it. Okay, I'm gonna let that completely dry because it is still a little tacky and I don't want it to get ruined by me touching it. So once that's dry, we'll come back. All right, guys, so my piece is dried now, and look how pretty that looks. I mean, how much nicer does that look with all the silver around it? I really love putting the silver around. It almost reminds me of being encased into a metal frame. So like real silver. So what we are going to do next is I did end up taking my Sculpey gloss and I put it on the back. And I did not do the sides yet, but I will end up doing that. But I first want to do my resin. So I'm going to grab my tile here with my little mat. And then I'm going to put my little starfish on here. And then I have my resin. And my little tool from Create Along as well. These things are fantastic. I absolutely love these little spreaders. Let me grab. And all I'm going to do is take my resin and I'm going to pull it down over. And the reason I'm doing resin is because I want to add stuff on top of here. And I'll show you in a minute. And I'm not putting this on thick. Just a nice little coat. Okay, so once you have your piece covered, make sure you get all the little legs. I have these little tiny beads here, and they're like super, super small. And I'm going to add silver to go with the silver paint marker. But I also am going to add a little bit of this green just to kind of help it pop a bit. Oops. And I'm just going to stick my piece right in there and grab a couple of them. And then I'm just going to put them right into the resin. And then you can spread them and put them how you would like. I'm not going to put a whole bunch, but I do want quite a bit on here to really just put extra detail. I love detail on my pieces. So if you like detail and things that are unique, adding these little beads are really going to help. You feel like you got too many in one area, you pull it and move it. And these little beads are super, super tiny. So they're not going to take away anything from your piece. I know sometimes like we'll add stuff on top and then it's so big it kind of takes it away. All the detail that we did into like the ink. This will not do that because these beads are really, really tiny. Got a little runaway one. So I'm just going to take a little bit more. I think I have a little too much there, so I'm going to put that onto the side there. And then I'll just add what I want. And let me stand up and really look at this to see. And I'm going to take and put it right around the circle. So I'm taking my little balls here and I'm making a little circle at the very top where I took my little hole puncher and I made that mark. Now I'm putting my beads right around there. So that's what it will look like. So super cool. So now I'm going to put this under my UV light. All right, so our piece is out from the UV light. Look how beautiful. They came out so nice. So now I am going to put the Sculpey glaze on because this is a little tacky. This is not, because I already put the glaze on the bottom. So I am just going to get my little Sculpey glaze here. I'm going to put it on my mat. And then I'm just going to get my little paintbrush. And I'm going to go right over. Wherever I have the silver, I'm just going to put the glaze right over it. And that will seal it from being, and stop it from being sticky. Most days I don't have to glaze this. I haven't run into any issues on it being sticky. So I'm not sure if it has to do with the weather today or this whole week, so to speak, and all the rain and humidity. But I got a sticky batch this time. So I'm just going to, and I let that dry overnight too. So I know that it is fully dried. It was taking quite a while last night. So that's why it's leading me to believe that it has to do with the weather. So if your paint is not sticky, it's not necessary to put the glaze over it. Like here, I'm not going to worry about glazing that. That is fine. So I'll give that a couple minutes to dry. And our next step is going to decide which way do we want to hang this. So I know I want to use this particular bale. But I got to decide, do I want to put it that way? This, I love the look of it sitting like this, but because this leg is kind of tilted, I know it's not going to hang properly. So I'm thinking, because this is like one of the straightest areas, or that one. So I'm going to use this one to put my bale on. So once I decide, I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to kind of decide where I want to, how I want to like lay this, like where exactly I want my bale to go. And I know I got to give it like a nice little, so, okay. So I'm thinking about right there would be nice. So I'm going to take my drill here. And I'm going down further than normally. I go all the way up here if I was just doing a jump ring. But because I am using the bail, I'm going to go down further because you see how long that bail is. So I'm going to go right in the middle here. Go straight down. There we go. Okay. And then I will take my bail, squeeze it together. Move that over just a tad bit. I want to move this over just a tad bit, so when I close it, it kind of goes onto the side. Come on. Yeah, like that. Okay. There we go. I wanted to move those two little pieces over, so instead of them going on top of each other like this, they're kind of going like this, and that way you could close the bail tighter and it's not so loose in between, because I don't really like that. And there we go. Look how beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. I am very, very happy with this. And I'm just going to put my chain on. And there are our two starfishes that we did. So we completed a pair of earrings, which I love. I think that came out fantastic. And our pendant, and this pendant is just gorgeous. It looks like enamel. I love that. And those little dots really kind of brought it all together with the colors. Absolutely gorgeous. I really hope you guys enjoyed creating these pieces with me. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.